Donald Trump Judge Aileen Cannon in the classified documents case out of Florida, apparently skeptical of the December trial date. We know Jack Smith wants to get this trial done quickly because if it goes too far, it's going to go right into election season, and Trump is going to have justification for postponing the trial until after 2024. And so they were in court today. Walt Nauta, when he was walking out here, people were screaming epithets at him. They were calling him names. And so make sure you stick around and we'll hit that near the end of this segment. But first, we know that the trial date is still uncertain. When is Judge Cannon going to schedule this proceeding? Now, we know that it's currently scheduled for August, which is just a stone's throw away, and December is pretty soon. There's a bunch of classified procedures that they've got to go through in order to comply with the rules and the law. But after December, now we get into election season because Iowa has their primary caucus right there in January. So this article came out from Zoe Tillman. She writes for Bloomberg, and she was there on scene in Florida. She said that a federal judge didn't immediately set a trial date. We're waiting for the date, man, but expressed skepticism about arguments from both the government and the former president's lawyers. The judge is Judge Aileen Cannon. In a closely watched pretrial hearing on Tuesday, said that she would issue the order after the hearing to address the first fight between the prosecutors. The government wants the trial in December. Former presidents, they don't want it any date set for now. They say setting a schedule for the coming months, a relatively uncontroversial step, has major consequences for Trump. He's got a campaign. The trial date in Florida is only one of several legal obligations. We know others are piling up. At the proceeding, Cannon signaled some skepticism about Trump's arguments about his 2024 campaign schedule and the political climate, talking about publicity. Not sure that those are reasons to delay setting a trial until after the election. We'll see. Now, she told Trump's lawyers to focus their push for a longer timeline on the volume of evidence. All right. She's saying, I don't really want to hear about the election problems or about the publicity stuff. I want to know about the due process. How quickly can you review the evidence? Why do you need more time to review the evidence? Make arguments and justifications on that basis, and maybe I'll consider them. The complexity of issues related to the materials and the scope of pretrial arguments. She says that's a much more suitable framework to guide my scheduling decisions. Remember, when we read the Trump motion for this, there was a section in there where Trump's team was even saying, hey, we're busy. We've got trials, Trump's got campaigning and all that stuff. She doesn't want to hear about that. She just wants to hear about the actual discovery going back and forth because that's going to give her a basis to extend the case. But the judge also suggested she had concerns about the government's date. So they want to really hurry this thing up lest they lose their opportunity. At one point, she asked the lead prosecutor, Jay Bratt. She said, are there any previous cases involving classified information that unfolded on such a compressed timetable, is what she said. She said that she had to leave enough time to resolve all motions and all of the defenses that the defense wants to raise. Upcoming legal challenges include an October trial on Trump's state fraud allegations, a January 15th trial date on defamation from E. Jean Carroll, and a March trial date over hush money allegations for 2016 campaigns. Trump announced he got another target date on True Social. At the proceeding, Trump attorney Chris Keese made clear on Tuesday that the defense didn't believe that they could be ready for trial or that a fair jury could be selected before the 2024 election. He said, Judge, there's a high level of publicity surrounding this case. She said, yeah, but you guys need a more concrete proposal for the timetable. Like, give me a schedule. Trump attorney Todd Blanche argued. He said, the parties, how about we provide a status update in November after we've had time to review all of the evidence? So he says, we'll come back in a couple months and let you know. Then we can schedule motions in December. If the court needed to set a trial date, it should consider one of the weeks after the 2024 election, right after. Because if Trump wins the election, then he just turns around, pardons himself, these federal cases are gone. Or, just disbands them, okay? He controls the DOJ. You're done. In asking for the December trial, prosecutors disputed that the case involved novel issues. They said, no, this is all pretty straightforward. And they objected to Donald Trump and his request for continuances. Trump's team, Blanche, said that it was disingenuous for the government to ask the court to treat Trump as the same as other defendants. And this is what Raskin said. Well, nobody's above the law. They're all the same. If we give Trump a continuance on this, then every person who's charged with the crime is just going to start running for president. But Trump's lawyer said no. The simple reality is that Trump's campaign, and there's many other legal entanglements, and this is just the nature of the defendant. You got to take the defendant as they come. Prosecutor David Harbach for the government said that courts had managed to seat juries for politicians and movie stars and corporate executives. Now we just have to have more careful vetting. Not a big deal. They say Trump should be treated just like everybody else. And they push back on the idea that this case is being governed by politics. They say, oh no, any idea of this is just flat out false. There has been no political bias, none. All right, if you believe that for a minute. So that is the update on what happened in Aileen Cannon's courtroom. Anna Bauer, also from Lawfare, was there reporting. She said, hello, I'm here in court in Fort Pierce, Florida. I'm here for Lawfare to cover the classified documents case. Among the agenda items, we're talking about the delay. Here's a scene from the courthouse, the Alto Lee Adams Sr. United States Courthouse. She was there bright and early, and you can see all of the other people who showed up in attendance. We had CNN was there, Reuters was there, CBS, they all signed a line form, and there was some more updates from Miss Bauer, who was actually there. She said the following: during a 2-hour hearing, Cannon peppered both the defense counsel and prosecutors with questions about the anticipated discovery in the motion practice timeline, but she put off setting a trial date, indicating that she's going to enter a written order soon. She expressed skepticism about the DOJ's claim that they could do this trial by December 11th. It's not unusually complex. She repeatedly noted she's unaware of any case involving classified info that went to trial in 6 months. She's like, I've never seen that before. But Cannon also resisted arguments from Trump's team. They said, just reconsider. He's a Republican frontrunner. She said, let's focus on discovery. That matters most. Walt Nauta also appeared alongside his attorneys. They were there. Stanley Woodward and Sasha Dayden were present. Woodward argued that setting a firm trial date is unrealistic. He says, I've got to review discovery before I can even advise Nauta about whether he should sever his trial from Trump's. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Currently, they are co-defendants. But if there's a conflict that develops between Trump and Nauta, that could be a problem. Like if the government comes to Nauta and they say, hey, we'll give you a probation plea deal, but you've got to turn and testify against Trump. If you don't, then we're going to charge you with the maximum penalty and we're going to ask for a decade in prison. What would you like to do? If there becomes a conflict here, then we'll see where that goes. But then whether this can be, and actually this is going to be for the trial, so whether they could sever the trial and just proceed entirely differently. It's good. We've got a lot of runway left on this path. So more, she says, the Justice Department indicated it had only recently been able to conduct a more thorough search of Walt Nauta's phone. Prosecutor Jay Bratt indicated that a complete search required special software that took the DOJ months to acquire. Gosh, these people are just the worst. Okay, so that's what's happening over there in court. And we know that Walt Nauta, when he was exiting the courtroom, he got some language thrown his direction. So this was the scene. Trump and Walt's lawyers exit the Alto Lee Adams Senior Courthouse in Florida, and Judge Cannon is going to be issuing a written ruling. And so another content warning on this one. So we see, there's Walt. People are yelling at him. Or one guy's yelling at him. Yeah, there's their signs over there.
Spread out. Excuse me. Watch out.
All right, so they're screaming out over there. And you can see that they're loading up into the car. And I think we saw a couple of Trump's lawyers right there at the outset. Christopher Keese and Todd Blanche. I think that is one of them here. I think that's Keese. That is the latest update. Now, we are still waiting on a ruling from the court. This is the latest on the docket. Let's see if there's anything that's dropped recently. And the answer is no. So when the court does drop the new trial date, we will, of course, continue to cover it, my friends. It's going to be just one part of many other Trump indictments that we'll be covering covering here. Hopefully you are subscribing wherever it is you're watching this and joining us as we continue to cover this, because there will be a lot more. And thank you for joining up at robertgovea.com to sign up for our brand new, fresh newsletter to get daily show notes and access to this mind map if you want to follow along and peruse the documents at your leisure. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.